So not too long ago, I got a question from one of my clients asking me if I knew something about Entity SEO, because it was something that heard from maybe another SEO company, or I think it was a friend that told him about Entity SEO. And I say, yeah, I mean, I use Entity SEO as part of my as part of my approach to doing SEO. And then I realized that there were many people that were not aware of what Entity SEO was. And then when I started getting into it, I also became aware of the fact that people that were talking about Entity SEO didn't really know what they were talking about. And it's very easy to get wrong because there are several assumptions in place. We were assuming what the entities are in some cases because there are a lot of similarities, there are a lot of overlaps, and it's very easy to get caught up with the semantics of how the meaning of the words that you're trying to use, and the context in how they're being used, and the topical relevance of those keywords. And so it's very easy to get lost in all those semantics. In this video, I'm going to try to make understanding at least the basics of semantic SEO as easy as possible. And it's not a really hard concept. It's just that I never thought people would not be aware of it as much as they should be, because semantic SEO has been something that Google has switched to for a while now. And so unlike in the past, you don't have to create pages for every keyword, or have to have one primary keyword and two secondary keywords, and then have every page created for a set of keywords, for every set of keywords that you want to target, because that's not the way that Google works anymore. And that's also not how Google's algorithm, when it comes to authority or finding an authority site, work anymore.
On the web, for I was busy to get caught up with the semantics of the word. What is the meaning of the word?
Sorry about that. So the question here is, why should you use Entity SEO? Well, obviously because Google is using entities to recognize websites. It'll make you a much better SEO. It'll make it easier for you to rank a relatively new website if you're going against competitive websites or more established websites, but who are not using Entity SEO as well. The third reason to use Entity SEO is that it will cut down a lot of the money that you spend on building backlinks by just focusing on good, relevant, keyword optimized content. Once you have identified what entities are relevant to the industry and specifically to the website that you're trying to rank, which is why this basic tutorial here, or show you guys what at the very core of it, what Entity SEO is. And then later on, if you guys have a lot of questions, and leave comments, and you can leave your comments below. And I'll try to then make a follow-up video. If there are many questions, I'll make a follow-up video that addresses all of those questions. But I think it's important not to get caught up with the details, but understand the basics, because it's not that hard to understand unless you're in a specific industry where there are overlaps between various entities. Then you might have a problem, and you might have a question about, what entity to target first or second, or what if, entities could be nullifying each other. But we're not going to go into that. That's very advanced. But before I go into this, guys, like the video, subscribe. If you have a question, as always, leave a comment below. I also do SEO for a living, so if you're looking for someone to do SEO for you, there's a link in the description. Click the link, fill out the short Google form, and I will get in touch with you. I get in touch with everyone, but some people tell me that they didn't get my email, or they were not able to get in touch with me. If that is the case, you can also find me on LinkedIn. Just search Cloud SEO, and my LinkedIn company profile will come up, and you can send me a message there. But I'm not always on LinkedIn. I'm not always checking my LinkedIn, so if I don't get in touch with you right away, it might take some time. But the best way is to just fill the form, and I will get in touch with you. So I'm going to cover why Google uses entities to identify websites, to identify content on the websites. And then I'm going to show you a few tools, or maybe just one tool, and then there are other tools that you can also use. But this is a tool that I use. I'm not affiliated with them, but I'll just show you the tools. And then I'll show you how you can implement, as an example, how you can implement Entity SEO on a website. I'm assuming it's a new website. You've not got a lot of content on the website, but this can also be applied to an existing website that has some content on it, and you're trying to rank that website. So the reason why Google uses entities, teens don't understand they don't understand the context of words the way people understand context of words. And so what a machine really does is it tries to find relevance, and it tries to identify that relevance, and it tries to do that using relationships. So how is one word related to another word, and then what's the relationship or the relationship between the words in the context of how all the other words are presented. And so based on that, the machine or machine learning system will assign it an entity. Now, an entity can be anything. It can be a word, it can be a color, it can be an animal, it can be anything. So Google doesn't define like what an entity is or if there's any rules to creating an entity, but those characteristics will be allocated to that entity. So, for instance, if you were to go and search Robert Patterson and you type that into Google, there will be a knowledge graph that pops up. And in addition to having his date of birth and maybe the latest movies he's worked in, it also shows you actors in general, like actors that have acted in movies that were similar or like the movies that Robert Patterson acted in. They'll also show you Robert Patterson's co-stars, and so everyone that he was co-starring in that movie or in those movies, or also people that he co-stars with most frequently. And so Google creates this entity called Robert Patterson, and based on that, so for instance, if he does vampire movies, and so if you type in vampire movies, one of the names that's just going to pop up is going to be Robert Patterson, because his entity has now been associated with horror movies. And that is how Google creates these relationships. An easier example perhaps would be that if you search for boat rental, depending on where you search for boat rental. So if you had searched for boat rental in Dubai, not necessarily using the prefix Dubai, but if you just search for boat rental, you will see that if you're doing a search in Dubai, you will see that places like the marina will pop up, places like Marina Dubai will pop up as a related entity. And so I've done this in this tool, and you can see that the relationships are there. And so what's really happening is that Google is looking at these relationships, and based on that, it's assigning an entity to that relationship. So one of the things that you can do is you can go to topically.io, and what I did here is I went ahead, I typed in boat rental, and this is done in the United States of America. And what it's showing me over here is boat rental as being the primary entity which I typed, but then it shows me this first level of entities. So Tom, yacht, Crab Island, Austin, lake, fishing, party, Chicago, Newport, destination Florida. Now, here's the interesting thing is yacht is obviously related to boat rental. And so if you were to create a page where you want to create a website that's about boat rental, you should have a page about yachts, B, about Crab Island if it's relevant to where you're located, C, about maybe renting a boat on a lake or lake boat rentals, so a page on lakes. You'd also want a page on fishing using boat rentals, or the advantages of fishing with a boat rental, or boat rentals that are specific to fishing. And I'll get into how you can use this for e-commerce. And so you want to create these related pages. Now, not all pages need to be created, but at least the ones that are most relevant to your main entity. And so once you've created those pages, then you can like take the entity and then find a cluster of keywords that I'll show you how to do, and then optimize a page for that entity and those cluster of keywords. The other thing that's worth noting, if you look at this map over here, is it's got Austin. Now, maybe there are many people renting boats in Austin, but what it does here, it associates party barge, ponton, party bus, lodge, marge, Travis yacht, And so if you're in Austin and you do boat rentals, you might want to create pages for every one of these entities, or even categories for every one of these entities. Now, I've not done my research. I don't know exactly what would be the best approach to attack these entities. But what I would want to do is I would want to dig deeper into every one of these entities and see if I need to create specific pages, or if I would need to create specific service categories and then have boat rentals listed in those specific types of boats listed. Obviously, this will depend on my client. This will depend on the type of website. But if we're doing an affiliate website, I would definitely create pages for every one of these. Maybe even like a pillar page and then sub pages. If I wanted to target boat rental to people who want to fish, so then there's one that branches out from fishing. It goes to sea, small, offshore, Changi, sport, deep sea fishing, and on and on. And so you can see the relationship between these entities. And so when you're creating a website, or if you're going to optimize a website, this is the first place to start, is to identify where your entity is in relationship to all the other entities, and then find a way to target as many related entities as you can, and then as that would help identify how are you connected to the related entities, and then Google sees that as being an ecosystem and that you can trust, and then it'll start ranking that website. Now, I'll give you guys another example. You probably remember a little bit of what we pulled up from topically.io. Now let's compare that to see how if Google is really looking at boat rentals the way topically.io has showed us. And this is so that even if you don't want to use Topically, you don't want to pay for anything, so this is like an easy way, and a little easier, but not very precise way of finding an entity. So I've typed in boat rentals, and right off the bat, if you look at the top over here, it says pontoon, yacht, crab island, Austin, lake, fishing, party. All you need to go to google.com, hit images, and type in boat rentals. That's all I did. And Chicago, Newport, destination Florida, and so these are the entities that Google is looking at. So the tool really is pulling data from Google. I just put in Dubai. It will show party boat, boat tours, mega, Virgo, luxury, private yacht cruise. And so you don't even need to use a tool. You can just use Google Images. Now, the drawback to this, you don't see all the sub ones. So then you don't see the entire map of entities. And so that is why I use a tool and I don't use Google Images. But this is so that if you want to double check, or if you want to do some preliminary research, so this is the first thing that you would do, is that you look at this and then maybe use a tool. So now that we have covered like what entities are, let's go into like how you would build the structure of a website using Entity SEO. And so one of the things that we will do is we will start with the example of boat rentals, and we will go here and we will just pull up the map, and we will go back to boat rentals. And so if I were to create, let's say, an affiliate page for boat rentals, so this will be slightly different for if you want to create a page that rents boats. For that, you probably take a slightly different approach depending on where you live, which is why I've not taken that approach. I've taken the affiliate website approach, because your entities will vary depending on where you live. So your local SEO will be different from that. But I'll take the example of boat rentals. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with, since boat rental is my main entity, my main keyword is going to be boat rental. And so I'm going to work my way off that. And so the first page, the home page, is going to be about boat rentals. It's going to introduce my boat rental business, or my expertise in the boat rental industry. It's going to be the first page that I have. I'm then going to create a category page for pontoon, for yacht, for fishing, for party, for Chicago, for Newport. Not Newport, but maybe not even Chicago, not Newport, but just covering like pontoon, yacht, lake, and fishing, and party. So party boat rental. And so I'm going to create a category for every one of these pages, for every one of these entities, sorry. So I'm going to create a category page for every one of these entities. And then that will be followed by creating pages for each one of these categories. So for pontoon, if I put in pontoon over here, I'll create a page, or I'll create articles around yachts. And so I will, if I want to rank it for the US, so I will do my research for yachts. I'll go to, in this example, I'll go to Google Images. I'll put in yacht. I'll enter it, and it says small yacht, it says inside yacht, it says sailing, it has boat, and I'll go ahead and I'll create, depending again on what the relevance is, I'll create pages for every one of these relevant subcategories or subpages. Or you can even have a pillar page on yachts that talks about yachts, for like it can be 1,000 words, it can be 5,000 words, depending on how much is needed. I don't want to cap you guys to a specific number of words, but you can have a pillar article, and then you can have sub articles that link to the pillar article and then to the main page, and that can be done. And you can then have these entire entities that are linked to each other. And the benefit for that is when the pages start getting indexed, Google sees that you're in the boat rental industry, you're connected to yachts, which is an entity. You're connected to, which is another entity. You're connected to fishing, which is another entity. And so as a whole, you're ticking all the boxes for all the entities that Google sees as being related to boat rentals. And so that makes it easier for you to rank. I made this mind map of how I would structure the website, and you can pause the video to take a look at the mind map. But I would encourage you to customize the map to how this will work, and then move from there. Now, individual pages, like how that structure will depend on keyword clustering. And so this is another buzzword, but it's very important. So if you want to do a page on yachts, or if you want to do a page on Austin, you have to find highly relevant keywords that are relevant to that page or to the content you're trying to cover, and then make sure that that cluster of keywords are on that page. And you can use Surfer SEO for it. Surfer SEO, if you just plug in the main keyword, Surfer SEO will pull up all the relevant keywords and all the clusters, and it makes the whole optimization process very easy. There's a link in the description. It's an affiliate link to Surfer SEO, and that's the only reason why I'm affiliated with them is because I use it. I use the tool, I like the tool, and which is why I'm affiliated with them. I haven't made any money yet off it, but this will make your life of creating these highly optimized pages for your entities a lot easier. And so anyway, so I hope you guys liked the video. If you have a question, leave it in the comments. I have another video coming up on ranking for zero volume keywords. I'll go into that a little bit. I just haven't had the time. I was not feeling well for the past few days, but I will put that in. That will also, it's an upcoming video. It's a work in progress. Okay guys, thank you for watching the video. I hope you guys learned something. Leave a comment leave a comment below if you have a question, and I will try to get back to you. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.